coming up on Sports Night.
Lacrosse gets ready for the NCAA tournament.
Baseball takes a trip to West Lafayette for a series with the Boilermakers.
And softball closes out its regular season with a trip out west.
Well, Griffin, this has been a long time coming.
Yeah, I mean, it really has. We've had 2 calls together canceled. We were supposed to anchor. We didn't. We've dealt with illness. I mean, it really took a lot to get here.
It takes a lot to stop the dynamic duo of Senek and Cap, but we made it. And to all of you watching, welcome. It's Sports Night right now.
Sports Night. I'm Griffin Senek alongside Michael Capobianco. I feel like I haven't seen you in a minute. What's been going on with you?
Not much, man. Just watching my Knicks head back home up 2-0 against Boston, fueled by even more Nova magic today. Pope Leo XIV, a Nova guy himself.
So what do you think then? You know, they are 2-0, but Knicks in 6, Knicks in 7. What do you think?
Knicks in 7? No. Knicks in 5. But let's stop talking about the NBA. We've got some other playoff action to discuss. Women's lacrosse is set to begin postseason play in a few days, where they'll look to avenge last year's heartbreaking loss in the national championship game. Sports Night's very own Brendan Preisman joins us in the studio to give us the scoop. Brendan, take it away.
Thank you so much, Mikey. The NCAA Women's Lacrosse Tournament will get underway tomorrow afternoon, and the Northwestern Wildcats are in a very intriguing quadrant. This is the 6th straight season the Lake Show is hosting, and they're also looking to make it 6 straight seasons with a trip to the Final Four. Let's look at some of the biggest games in this quadrant and see how these teams measure up on Tale of the Tape. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a tape measure, but I do have the next best thing, ruler. And with this ruler, I'll be able to help explain which team will rule this quadrant. We'll start with Michigan and Akron, which will determine who Northwestern's second-round opponent is. Now, Akron coming out of the MAC champions. Michigan, of course, a conference rival to Northwestern in the Big Ten. Wolverines should be favorites in this one, but if they want to ensure a rematch against Northwestern, they do well to force a lot of turnovers. As you can see here, Akron, not that great in the turnover department, 13.72, and Michigan has forced 10 or fewer turnovers in each of its losses this year. Meanwhile, if the Zips want to pull off a stunner, they've got to zip things up in the draw circle, 50.6%. They're 9-0 when they win the draw, but 2-4 when they don't. Turning to a likely second-round matchup, we've got Maryland taking on Penn in a delicious defensive clash. You can see here 9.84, 9.94 points allowed per game. Now, Maryland's committed at least 13 turnovers in each of its 5 losses, a mark the Terrapins have reached in just 5 of their wins. Maryland's 9-0 when committing 12 or fewer turnovers. And against Penn in a 12-13 loss back on March 31st, they committed 13 turnovers. As for the Quakers, Penn has lost the shots on goal battle in all 6 of its losses and is 3-6 overall when losing that battle. However, they did beat Maryland despite 4 fewer shots on goal in that game back in late March, but the total shots battle was tied at 30. Penn is 8-3 when it's tied or ahead in that department. So if the Quakers can get supreme in shots, they've got a real good shot to pull the upset. Now, to a possible Big Ten battle, all due respect to Akron, but I think the return of the MAC ends in round 1 with a loss to Michigan. That means the Wolverines will have an opportunity to get revenge for the blowout on Lacrosse Night in Chicago. Northwestern has won the draw this season in all but 2 games, 64.2. That's 5th in the country in draw control percentage. Now, the games Northwestern didn't win the draw, they were both victories, but they typically tally a massive margin in percentage. But in the Boston College loss, Northwestern won that battle by just 5. In the North Carolina loss, it was 3. In the survival against Johns Hopkins, it was 2, and in Maryland in the Big Ten Championship, it was 5 again. You've got to crush it in the circle, build a much bigger cushion than just 2, 3, or 4 draws. As for Michigan, they're typically a very aggressive team with regards to the ground ball. The Wolverines have lost that battle just 9 times so far this season. Their record in those games, a pretty paltry 5-4. In every other game, Michigan's 7-2. And in that game against Northwestern, which they lost by 9, Michigan lost the ground ball battle 17-11, and in their Big Ten semifinals loss, they lost that battle to Maryland 13-7. Those 2 games are the only games this season the Wolverines have lost since April began. That's not a coincidence. And if history repeats itself, as I imagine it should, we'll get a rematch of the Big Ten title game in the NCAA quarterfinals. Northwestern's 2 losses have seen it lose the ground ball battle 10-14 and 9-14. Northwestern's 2-2 when losing the ground ball battle overall, but one of those victories was the one-goal survival of Johns Hopkins in the Big Ten tournament semifinal. And against Maryland, Northwestern won the battle 25-13 when they blew out the Terps in the regular season, but just 10-7 in that one-goal survival in the Big Ten title game. Meanwhile, Maryland, offense not all that great, 12.4 points per game. They've failed to hit 30 shots in a game 8 times this season. The Terrapins are 4-4 on those occasions, with a 10-1 record in games where they cracked the 30-shot mark. But in the 2 games against Northwestern this season, Maryland has a total of 39 shots, and their best mark was 20 in a single game against Northwestern. That can't happen again if the Terrapins want to avoid the season sweep. However, I do think history will repeat itself in the quarterfinal. Foxborough, Massachusetts is about 5,287,392 of these rulers away from Evanston, but that's the journey the Wildcats are looking to take again. If Northwestern is able to win the possession battle and limit shots, then the Lake Show measures up well against every team in this tournament, and I fully expect to see them in Foxborough for the Final Four as they look to take back their role as rulers of the lacrosse world.
Thanks, Brendan. Truly nobody better to break down some Northwestern lacrosse, and we'll be following postseason coverage here for NNN Sports.
When we come back, we'll see how baseball fared in a weekend series.
Trying to work my way out of the prison system was the most difficult challenge of my life. It only became tangible once I became a Northwestern student.
One, two, three, four.
My relationship with Giannis is unique. We're from the same country, we're from the same city. Being a Northwestern alum, I think, has tremendous advantages in the sports industry. To me, that community, it's been with me for 20 plus years.
Welcome back to Sports Night. And Griffin, 2 New Yorkers on desk tonight. Not a bad time to be a baseball fan.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's, a fine time to be a Yankee fan. Definitely not as much promise as, my New York Metropolitan. So
Listen, man, your April start was cute, but you're still a little brother in town.
we'll see who's laughing after next weekend's Subway Series. Let's turn our attention to this past weekend, though. Coming off a win in the series finale against Washington and an 11-7 win versus Butler, the Cats travel to West Lafayette looking to extend their winning streak. Northwestern heading to Purdue. Big rivalry series and very big potential stakes for the Big Ten tournament in this series. We'll start things off with Aaron Manius driving a deep shot to right field. Jackson Freeman trying to make a play on it, leaps, but it's gone. 3-run shot, and just like that, Purdue up 5-1. We'll jump ahead though. Northwestern battling back 6-5, bases juiced, and Bennett Markinson delivers. That double goes all the way to the wall, gonna bring home at least 2 runs. Jacob Hand rounding third, throw to the plate, not in time. Cats up 8-6 in the top of the 7th, and it would stay that way to the bottom of the 9th. Crawford Wade looking to shut the door. 2-2, 2 outs. Good night, gone swinging. Northwestern keeps the good times rolling. Game 1 win. Game 2, not so great for the Cats. Jackson Freeman grounded into a double play in the top of the 1st, and the bats were pretty much silent for the Cats until the top of the 9th. They were down 5-0 at this point. Ryan Kucherak going the other way for an RBI double. Northwestern would add on 2 more, but ultimately fall in game 2, 5-3. Big win for Purdue. So that means we're headed to game 3, the rubber match of the set. Northwestern down 3-0 after the first, but Jacob Hand says, we're not done just yet, boys. 2-run single up the middle. Purdue's lead cut to 1. Purdue would maintain the lead for a little longer. Top 6, Preston Knott squaring the bunt, gets past the pitcher. No one home to field it at second either. And just like that, Northwestern 2 on, no out, only down a run. But the Cats would squander the opportunity. Jacob Hand goes down swinging, and Purdue would stay in charge from there. They win 7-5 and win the series. Northwestern will have a chance to bounce back this weekend as they welcome Ohio State for a series, with Friday's game being played at Wrigley Field.
From locking down coaches Chris Collins and Tracy Fuchs to contract extensions to working with admissions to bring in top transfers, Northwestern Athletic Director Mark Jackson has already contributed a lot to the program in his first year on the job. Earlier this week, our very own Matt Saperstein caught up with Jackson in our studio.
Joining me now in the studio to talk about everything Northwestern sports is Combe Family Vice President for Athletics and Recreation, Mark Jackson. Mark, thanks so much for sitting down with us here on Sports Night.
My pleasure. Truly an honor to be a part of Medill. This is my first formal sort of connection here at McCormick, and just absolutely thrilled to be here. So thank you.
Of course. You've now spent 8 months in your new role as athletic director here at Northwestern. Since you were hired last September, how's it been going so far?
Exceeded expectations on every front. It's a position that a lot of people in our industry pay attention to. You know, when you think about the preeminent, athletic conference in the country in the Big Ten, combined with the number 6 academic institution in the world, that's a pretty powerful combination. So my expectations were really, really high. Knowing the athletic department really well, and the facilities, our programming, all that we do has met every expectation, but it's the people. After 7 months of being here, I think the people have exceeded my expectations, and to get to work on this campus every day, not only in athletics but across the board, has been wonderful.
Now, April was a very busy month for you, securing contract extensions for both men's basketball head coach Chris Collins and field hockey head coach Tracy Fuchs. First off, looking at Chris Collins, how he's transformed this program, leading the team to its first 3 ever March Madness appearances. How crucial is it to keep Chris Collins here in Evanston?
Yeah, incredibly important. Chris has taught me a lot about the culture of Northwestern because he's navigated it beautifully over his 12 years. It's not just about win at all costs. In fact, we didn't make the tournament this year, primarily because of the injuries we suffered, but in a lot of ways I felt it was Chris's best season of coaching, the way he maintained our competitiveness and the way we stayed relevant throughout the season. I give him a ton of credit for that. So the decision to reward him with a new contract was relatively easy, but we're just getting started. He has the foundation of something that is incredibly important to his legacy. He wants to have a consistent NCAA tournament team, and I think we have all the right ingredients to do that. So I can't wait to partner with him and continue to have success.
Also in April was lacrosse night in Chicago, when the women's lacrosse team here set the attendance record with 3,503 fans. How special was that night for this program?
Unbelievable. Truly a team effort. It starts with, again, another best in the business in Kelly Amante Hiller and her husband Scott and the whole staff really spearheading this idea, but the way our community got behind it, from the president to the board to our athletic department community, to really bang the drum to get people to come out on a pretty cold, dreary night against Michigan to break a record, and then to win the Big Ten regular season championship that night. I think it's just indicative of women's sports in general and the platform that it provides. Again, we're just getting started with this. We want to grow it.
In the Big Ten, Northwestern is constantly competing with top schools like Oregon, Ohio State, and Michigan, who sometimes it feels like they have endless NIL money. How does Northwestern stay competitive in the NIL era?
Yeah, we don't want to just survive in the Big Ten and in the Power 5. We want to thrive in it, right? And we're not big on comparing ourselves against anybody else. We're really unique when you think about number 6 institution in the world, city of Chicago, best athletic conference in the country, maybe the most influential donor base in the country, I would argue globally. I mean, we have a lot of ingredients beyond just spending money that we think provides a unique strategic balance across everything that we're doing that puts us at an advantage. Again, we'll see how this unfolds. I know we have all the right ingredients. To to compete in our own way. We're not a transient place. If you look at our retention rates amongst our student athlete population, kids stay here for the value of the degree, for the value of the network, to play in an $850 million stadium, to walk into Walter Athletic Center, which I'd argue is the best athletic center in the country, every day. Those things aren't going anywhere. Those are our facts, you know. And so we're gonna market it our way. We're gonna do it our way. It'll be uniquely Northwestern. So and we'll see where we end up.
In the past, Northwestern has had very strict academic requirements for players looking to transfer into the program. Yet during this football and basketball offseason, we saw multiple rising juniors join the program, which is something we really haven't seen happen in years past. Can you talk about the work you've done to help make that happen?
Yeah, I don't know how much I've had to do with it, or it's been like some dramatic policy change. It's really just working closely together and communicating with our partners on campus, starting with the president, the provost, you know, the admissions office, about what the realities are that we're facing, you know, and to stay competitive in the Big Ten. You know, we have to look at the world a little bit differently. I think it's just the adaptability of understanding the landscape and the circumstances and putting Northwestern in a position of strength like we always want to be.
Thanks, Matt. It's certainly a very exciting time to cheer on the Wildcats with Jackson leading Northwestern. Be sure to check out the full interview on our Instagram and X accounts tomorrow.
Coming up, we'll check in on softball as they close out their regular season and begin postseason play.
My relationship with Giannis is unique. We're from the same country, we're from the same city. Being a Northwestern alum, I think, has tremendous advantages in the sports industry. To me, that community, it's been with me for 20 plus years.
Ready, set, Yano!
Welcome back from our lovely studio in what some people call Heavenson, but Griffin, I'm not buying it. I was walking here 50 degrees every day still.
It was a little chilly today, but you must not have looked ahead in the forecast. It looks like beautiful 70-degree sunny day on Saturday. Maybe I'll see you out on the beach, a little spike ball. I don't know if you want that, though.
Griffin, come on, man. Griffin, Dunder Mifflin, happy living, cabin 5.
All right, let's just get into these highlights.
Northwestern softball would travel west this past weekend to face the number 8 ranked UCLA Bruins in a huge final regular season series. Despite a series win over Nebraska, the Cats ranked 56th in RPI heading into this past weekend. Simply put, if NU succumbed under pressure against the Bruins, they could kiss an NCAA regional goodbye. But Avery Garden doesn't feel pressure. See ya. 2-run bomb here to right gets the scoring started on the weekend. She finished the series with 6 RBIs, followed here by Ayanna Lindsay with 4 of her own. And what seems like a bloop single here quickly turns wild. A bases clearing triple for the senior, and the Cats dominate game 1. They end up tacking 2 more for the 8-0 win in the first game. And we'll pick things right up in the second inning of game 2. A grounder to second off the foot of Nito. UCLA would put up 11 unanswered runs in the first 3 innings before Robinson, Cunha, and Saborski right here went back to back to back in the 5th inning. 2 consecutive 4 spots in the 4th and 5th weren't enough for the Cats, though. UCLA would take game 2. And now here we go in the rubber game action. Izzy Cunha showed up and delivered with runners on the corners in the 1st inning for first blood to Northwestern. And from there, Lauren Boyd would do Lauren Boyd things. Take a look. She went 13 total innings over the weekend, pitching to a 1.62 ERA with a 156 batting average against, earning herself D1 Softball National Pitcher of the Week honors. And she escapes an early 2nd inning jam with a strikeout and responded to a rough 3rd inning by retiring 6 of the next 7 batters she faced. A stellar performance from the grad student. And UCLA freshman Addison Fisher here finds herself in a jam of her own, and she crumbles against Lauren Saborski. Experience beating youth, giving NU the lead, the win, and the series upset. And like that one clip of The Undertaker rising from his own casket, Northwestern has risen from the ashes to re-enter regional contendership.
After a huge series win over number 8 UCLA, 5th seed Northwestern faced off in the first round of the Big Ten tournament against 12th seed Purdue. Top of the first, Purdue with the bases loaded. Fielder's choice from Julia Gossett going to bring home the first run of the afternoon and put the Boilers ahead. But not long later, Izzy Cunha responds with a rocket just over the left field fence. It's gone. Put some life into that Northwestern offense, all tied up at 1. 3-1 now, bottom 5. Kaylee Avasado, RBI single. Throw coming to the plate. Ayanna Lindsay, 2 quick dives head first into the home. 3-2 now. But Gossett again, top of the 7th off Lauren Boyd, off the flagpole too. Solo shot. Purdue now ahead 2. Northwestern last chance, 2-2, 2 outs. Kansas Robinson lines one, but caught by the shortstop. Just like that, Northwestern's Big Ten tournament is over. They fall to Purdue 4-2. With the loss to Purdue, the Cats will now await the selection for the NCAA tournament, which takes place on Sunday. If the Cats don't make the tournament, they'll finish the season with a record of 29-18-1.
And now to change gears a bit. Here at Sports Night, we're always keeping up with the latest from our beloved Wildcat teams. But it makes you wonder, what are some of our former Cats up to these days? A few weeks ago, I had the chance to catch up with former Northwestern basketball player Vic Law. I first connected with Vic over 4 years ago when I interviewed him on my high school podcast, and well, that was way before I knew much about Northwestern. And now we've come full circle. Here's part of our recent conversation.
Joining me now is former Northwestern Wildcat Vic Law, who currently plays overseas in Japan for the Ryukyu Golden Kings and is crushing it. Vic, thank you so much for joining us here on NN Sports. How's everything?
Going well. Thanks for having me. Super excited to be on here. Actually, I remember that studio when I was at Northwestern. A couple of my buddies were in the journalism school, and I remember watching them produce some of their shows and in SportsNight Weekly. So this is pretty cool.
Awesome. Well, we're super excited to have you. I mean, first, obviously, you're crushing it over there in Japan, playing overseas. You're averaging 16, 8, and 4. How is the season going for you? How are you feeling out there on the court?
Season's going pretty well. This is my 2nd season with the Kings. Started off pretty good, then we went into a little slump there, and I think there was a real turning point in our season right before the Japanese midseason tournament. We were fortunate enough, and we handled business and won that. And kind of since that point, the team has kind of taken off and it really hit our stride. So I think we're doing really well. You know, that was the first time in team history that we won the Emperor's Cup, was what it's called here, but you know, it's like a huge midseason tournament, and it's a pretty big deal for the organization. It was the 100th year that tournament's been around, so you know, I think once we won that, our kind of season really just kind of exploded from there.
You spent 5 seasons at Evanston, 2014 to 19. I mean, you spent a ton of time with the program. I guess kind of take me through your journey as a Wildcat, and if you want, share some of your proudest and most favorite moments.
Well, you know, I came to Northwestern when the program wasn't really the best. You know, it's not kind of like how it is now when these kids are coming to Northwestern and they're already seeing the promise of, you know, this team can be good and you know, everything, the bells and the whistles. You know, I came in when it was the old Welsh Ryan. You know, it wasn't a ton of great facilities, quote unquote, but you know, the idea and the energy that Coach Collins had was really attractive to me and all the guys that I committed with. And finally, in my third year, we kind of broke through and made the tournament. But that year, you kind of saw the accumulation of everything that we had learned. We won a ton of close games. We went on the road and won the games that everyone thought was like, there's no way they can win here. There's no way they can win there. And we pulled out some games that we probably shouldn't have won, but to make the tournament, that's what you kind of have to do. And I think we really allowed like other people to see that Northwestern can really be good.
Watching as someone who went to Northwestern and played on this team, I mean, what does it kind of mean to you to see this team, in the March Madness talks every single year now? I mean, that's gonna be pretty cool.
It's been cool to see the buy-in from everybody, and not just the players, but like the community, the fans, like everyone just seems like they're like, that's our team now, like it seems like everyone's kind of has taken a bit of ownership of when we don't make it. It's kind of like, damn, like we're spoiled now, like we want to make, like we should make it every year. And Chris has built like a program and a culture of you're going to come to Northwestern and get a really good education, which could be a reason why kids don't leave, because you're not coming to Northwestern just to play basketball, like you're coming to get that education. You're coming to get a bit of that networking and alumni base. You're coming to get like everything that comes with being a Wildcat.
Thank you, Vic, so much for joining us here on NNN Sports. This has been a fantastic conversation, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Always a great time catching up with former Wildcats, and from Evanston to the NBA bubble to Japan, it's been quite the basketball journey for Vic, and we wish him luck with the rest of the season over there in Japan.
Earlier this week, women's golf headed down south to Oklahoma to compete in the NCAA Norman Regional. The Cats rode a 10-under second round to finish second at the tournament, securing their third consecutive trip to the NCAA Championship Finals. Leading the way for NU was sophomore Ashley Yun, who posted 3 straight rounds under par to earn runner-up honors, and her third top 5 finish of the season. Meanwhile, Lauren Wynn earned her 6th top 10 finish of the season, playing a strong final round to finish tied at 8th. Sin Tai Lin shot 1 over par to tie for 14th place, while Diana Lee and Elise Lee tied for 17th. With their second place finish as a team, the Wildcats will now gear up for the NCAA Championship Finals. The tournament will take place from May 16th to 21st in Carlsbad, California.
Northwestern Cross Country finished off its outdoor season on Friday at the Badger Challenge in Madison, Wisconsin. Junior Sky Ellis broke the 1,500-meter program record again with a blistering time of 4:19. That was good enough for 3rd overall. Junior Anna Hightower placed 4th right behind Ellis in 4:27 for her own personal record, and in the 5K, senior Ava Earle took 1st place with a time of 15:55 as an unattached competitor. Grad student Holly Smith and sophomore Jackie Holman also ran unattached to round out the podium with times of 16:01 and 16:09 respectively. 3 more Cats scored personal bests on Friday. Junior Mia Mraz and sophomore Kaylee Zaks shaved a combined 42 seconds off their records, scoring 7th and 9th place finishes in the 1,500-meter run. Senior Audrey Bannister shaved 14 seconds off her 5,000-meter record for 11th place. This concludes the outdoor section of the Cats track season. And now let's see where you can catch the Cats.
Baseball takes on Ohio State at Wrigley tomorrow night.
Lacrosse faces off against the winner of Michigan and Akron's game on Sunday in the NCAA tournament.
And men's golf tees off at the NCAA tournament on Monday.
If you're still watching out there, thanks for sticking around, but don't leave just yet. We've got everyone's favorite segment after the break.
I'm Kelly McEvers, founding host of the NPR podcast Embedded.
I'm James Edwards, host of the Unresolved podcast from Frontline.
I'm Antonia Cereijido, former senior producer of Anything for Selena podcast and current executive producer at Elias Studios.
My narrative, since I've been locked up and kind of made my transition, has been like redemption, accountability.
When I come into the classroom environment, every individual that sits amongst me takes education seriously.
My relationship with Giannis is unique. We're from the same country, we're from the same city. Being a Northwestern alum, I think, has tremendous advantages in the sports industry. To me, that community, it's been with me for 20 plus years.
You're watching Sports Night. We're about to close things out here. Mike, what do we got for him?
You know what time it is. Plays of the week. Let's do it.
Plays of the week. Best segment of the day. Play number 3 here, Northwestern softball in LA. And Kansas Robinson, she's going to go for it. Reaches, gets a tag. She got her. Big out, helping Northwestern pull off the upset.
Now play number 2 right here for you. Northwestern baseball capping off their impressive 6-run comeback with this Bennett Markinson 3-run double down the line. Cats take this one, but they fall in the series.
And here it is, number 1, back to the softball diamond, and it's Lauren Skaborski in the clutch, giving Northwestern the lead in the late stages. Cats with a massive series win against the Bruins.
And that'll do it for this week's episode of Sports Night. Thanks so much for tuning in.
Be sure to check us out on X at NNN Sports and on Instagram at NNN_sports. For Michael Capobianco, I've been Griffin Senek. Have a good weekend, Cats fans.